Once why do all who find the furtive pygmy die within a day? Guards disparities a his dawn truth too vast for mortal warning snatches of a mind's primordial voice haunt those who draw near. Once guards disparities a his dawn. Now claimed guards disparities a his dawn truth too vast for mortal warning snatches of a mind's primordial voice haunt those who draw near. What did he see in the first flame's origins that shattered his soul? To know is to share his fate. The lands between were not saved, they were scarred, and the pygmy remembers. To witness his truth is to fracture the myth of salvation. The first flame was no gift, it was a wound sealed with fire, a necessary evil to delay the undifferentiated age's return. The pygmy's curse is the last echo of a guardian who failed to stop the flame's corruption. If his memory holds, the cycle is not eternal, it is a death throes. Every hunter who seeks him carries the same question: will they die as witnesses or as participants in the end? The furtive pygmy stands at the edge of memory. One of 4 lords who first unearthed Lord's souls when disparity fractured the void. They forged weapons to slay the everlasting dragon's beasts older than flame, older than hunger. The pygmy's hands once held such power. Now they clutch only shadows. His warnings are not prophecies, they are a death sentence. Each hunter who finds him becomes a thread in a tapestry of endings. Why does he speak? To guard a truth too vast for mortal minds. The lands between did not rise from harmony. They were carved from a wound the pygmy helped open. His presence is a scar. Those who linger near him do not die from malice, they die from knowing. The weight of his forgotten purpose cracks the soul. What was sacrificed to birth this realm? What God's name was erased? The pygmy's silence is a requiem, and every seeker who perishes becomes another verse in it. The dark soul's text whispers a truth the first flame would rather burn. Asterisk the dark is not evil, but an undifferentiated state the gods feared. Asterisk pause. Let the weight settle. The pygmy clutches this relic not as a heretic, but as a sentinel. His gnarled fingers, blackened by eons, cradle what was once the womb of all things of void the gods could not name. You see a beggar in tattered robes, but he stands at the fault line where creation shuddered. The air around him reeks of charred ash and stagnant water. His eyes, hollow as collapsed stars, reflect no light. Yet when he speaks, his voice carries the static of a dying sun. The dark soul hums in his grip, a pulsing void that bleeds cold. It is no mere artifact. It is the last shapeshifter of the primordial dark, the substance the gods sought to cage. By parceling it out as humanity, they diluted its power-transforming chaos into a currency mortals could wield, a mercy or a trap. The pygmy's curse is this: he remembers the name the gods erased. Every gift of humanity is a shackle, a fragment of the dark they rebranded to control it. He warns seekers not of the flame's corruption, but of the cost of its asterisk existence asterisk. His warnings are riddles because the truth is a blade that carves through time. To know the dark's true nature is to unravel the lie of creation itself, and so he dies daily. Not by malice but by duty. Each hunter who finds him carries the same 100th need to name, to conquer. They touch the dark soul and the void recognizes its children. It swallows them whole. Their deaths are not failures. They are verses in the requiem the pygmy cannot sing alone. The dark does not hunger, it asterisk awaits asterisk. And in its silence the last guardian's curse grows heavier. What god's shadow bends here? What price was paid to birth this realm? The pygmy's silence is a requiem. And every seeker who perishes becomes another verse in it. His silence is not absence, it is a ledger. The 4 lords forged their victory with stolen breath, Gwyn's stolen youth, Nito's hollowed bones, the witch's frigid resolve. And the pygmy. He bore the dark soul, a wound carved from the first flame's heart. To kill the everlasting dragons was to unseal a tomb. The flame that birthed the lands between was never clean. It was a pyre. What does a god do when their sacrifice is used to feed a greater fire? The pygmy's warnings are not riddles, they are elegies. Each word a shard of memory, each gesture a map to a truth the lands between cannot unlearn. The hunters who find him do not die by his hand. They die by the weight of what he remembers. The god who once stood against the flame, now bound in pygmy's flesh, his voice a whisper too fragile to carry beyond a day. The first flame's light is a lie, its embers are the ash of 1,000 failed guardians. The pygmy's curse is not solitude, it is witness. He guards the moment the age of fire became an age of theft, when the lords traded eternity for dominion, and the dark soul became both key and prison. Every death at his post is a requiem for that theft, a debt paid in silence. The flame burns. The dragons are dust, but the cost, it festers in the pygmy's eyes. A god's failure does not end with death. It becomes a language, and those who speak it, they vanish, not consumed, erased. By the weight of a truth the world was never meant to hold. The cycle was never broken. The four lords carved a loop from chaos, their pact bound flame and ash in endless return. It is scar destiny that refuses to close. The first flame's fading is not decay, it is destiny. The pygmy's rage is not against corruption, it is against inevitability. He was there when the pact was sealed, a voice among the divine. He spoke the language of endings. And they silenced him, not with steel, with fire, with the very flame he sought to save. His curse is memory. A mind imprisoned in the moment the cycle was forged. Every hunter who finds him repeats the ancient crime. They ask for guidance, they receive truth, and truth is a blade that cuts both ways. The warnings etched into his voice fractured, fevered mirror the flame's final breaths, a countdown, a dirge. The design of his prison echoes the altars where the lords made their bargain, columns too smooth, shadows too sharp. A geometry of failure. The four kings did not defeat entropy, they became it. Their reign is the cycle. Their death is the reset. The pygmy's existence proves the reset can be broken. But breaking it means unmaking the world that depends on it. His rage is not madness. It is the last whisper of a god who learned too late that some truths are too heavy to hold. And now you know why the hunters vanish. They did not speak the language. They understood it. And the weight of that understanding erased them. The flame will fade, the cycle will turn, the pygmy's curse is to watch. And to wait for a hunter who will not listen. His warnings are a riddle carved from fractured memory. The dark spreads not as decay, but as hunger unstoppable, unbidden. If the pygmy speaks of this, then his curse is not to guard the flame's corruption, but to mourn a war he never won. Yet the first flame's birth was his god's final act. To stop it would have been mercy. To fail was to become a monument. What if his words twist like a mirror? What if the flame will fade means the fire's extinction birthed the dark? The pygmy is no guardian. He is a contradiction, a relic of resistance that became the very thing it feared. His silence kills hunters, yet his speech offers no clarity. Does he curse those who find him, or bless them with a truth too vast to hold? The lands between were not saved, they were delayed. And in the gap between what was and what is, the pygmy waits neither hero nor villain, but a question the world forgot to ask. The furtive pygmy is no savior. He is the last remnant of a being whose efforts to seal the first flame's birth fractured the world's balance. The flame's ascent from the age of gray did not bring order, it imposed a lie. Heat and cold, life and death, these contrasts were not gifts but scars, carved by the very force meant to prevent entropy. The pygmy's warnings, etched in riddles, do not name the flame's corruption, they mourn the cost of its necessity. Every hunter who finds him dies not as a curse, but as a correction. Their deaths are the echo of an older lawan that predates the flame's false light. The pygmy guards no holy truth. He clings to a memory of what the lands between were before disparity, a void unbroken by fire's jagged divide. His presence is the shadow of that void, a reminder that the flame's necessity was a wound dressed as a remedy. When the flame fades, the cycle does not end, it resets. The age of darkness returns not as failure, but as the original state, reclaiming what the flame could not truly sustain. The pygmy's curse is this: he remembers the world as it was before the lie. And in remembering, he ensures the hunters who seek him will perish, their lives a fleeting spark against the weight of what must always come undone. The question is not why he kills, the question is why he waits. The pygmy's curse does not merely mark him as a relic of the first flame's birth, it implicates that birth as a wound, not a salvation. The flame, forged to bind the dark's hunger, was itself a chain of rot. The four lords in their pact sealed decay into the very thing meant to preserve order. Their cycle was never balance. It was a ledger of losses. The pygmy's silence is not ignorance. It is the echo of a god who foresaw the end before the cycle began. He does not curse hunters out of malice, he curses them for memory. Each death is a whisper, this is how the flame dies. This is how the cycle breaks not by fire, but by the weight of what was never meant to last. The age of fire was not a triumph, it was a delay. The pygmy, cursed to guard the truth, waits not for redemption, but for the delay's end. Guards is not a secret, but for the dirge. And we, who revere the flame's light, now must ask what if the thing we mourn is the thing that doomed us. 249 words. Could the pygmy's warnings echo not the flame's end, but the dark's return? His song is a shard of the parceled sola memory of what mortals now bear. If the first flame's corruption is a symptom, not the disease, what remains unspoken? The pygmy does not beg for aid, he testifies. A witness to a god's final act, his riddle cuts both ways. You've heard the dirge, now ask, is it a eulogy or a warning? The comments hold the pyre. Step forward, light it, or let it smolder. And if this unsettles you, the next fire in the archive asks what if the dark soul was never meant to be claimed. The furtive pygmy guards a truth older than flame, a void the gods feared to name. His shadow whispers,